Piper with the Thursday video, and it's Thursday the 8th of July. Apologies this is so late. I did do a report earlier, but the quality was terrible and I then had to go out. Maybe not a bad thing as far as Bitcoin is concerned. It's been a fairly crazy day today. Yesterday was an extremely predictable day, as those of you following the WhatsApp room etc. would realise. Things have gone rather off the rails today. We'll have a look at it in a minute. Firstly, just to make a few general points. This is the low back in December. Let me just change this arrow. Right, so we had the low back in December. We then had the what's going wrong? Very well today. Right, okay. We had the one wave, the two wave, 5-part 3 wave to there by my count, the regular ABC 4 and then 5. So a rally of around 10,000 points, probably slightly more, over a period of around 6.5 months. Right, so the first point I want to make here is that the ABC rally so far, which is just a few weeks old, I think 3 or 4 weeks old, has done enough in terms of price. It's taken us down close to the 50% level at 8,928. My target was just below 9,000. The low yesterday was just above 9,000. So a 50% retracement is quite respectable in terms of price. In terms of time though, it's only 3 weeks or 4 weeks compared to 6.5 months or so. And in that sense, it's very subnormal. So it's quite possible what we're going to see now is a B wave rally. I mean, I had been thinking this would be the major low, wave 2 low. It may be the wave 2 low, but you know, it's important to look at the alternatives. So maybe we're going to see a B wave and then another leg down, which could take us, well, who knows where, I guess. Depends on we'll have to look at the C equal A formula, but it could be a more significant decline. Is that likely? I think it's very hard to argue that it isn't likely. Although the institutions may well be getting on board, they may want to push prices down beforehand. The whole load of reasons why. In fact, everywhere you go, you read buy Bitcoin, I think, so maybe we do need a bigger shakeout. Anyway, let's have a look at the chart patterns, which is what I use to try and find some sense in this market map. Okay, here's the pattern, a very nice clear ABC. We've done about that. A, ABC, B, and the low came in just 100 points adrift from the A equals C level at 8,985. That was my target. I think the actual low was 90.80. I do keep saying these things keep working until they stop, and yesterday was brilliant, but today has been a little less clear, I would say. This is a 5-minute chart. So we had I labelled this ABC, in fact, which is what I was showing in the report I recorded earlier, which will of course allow for this sort of B wave fall that we've seen. Now, I can't remember what this is. I'm not quite sure. Something obviously is of importance is happening. It's not me buying, I'm afraid, to whoever suggested that, if only. But I mean, it could still be an ABC. It could be that it's part of a correction, a B wave correction, but it is showing an enormous amount of strength at the moment. If we take that off and look at the alternative, I mean, it could actually be a 1 wave, because there are 5 waves there, followed by an irregular A, B, a C to there. This could be the 2 wave. It's really hard to tell. I mean, I did buy some Bitcoin. I recommended others buy. I did use some stops. I got stopped out by this move, the later move today, but I did also buy some in my SIP. So that those are, I don't put stops on the SIP, so that's all fine and dandy. And the stops locked in decent profits on the other ones as well, so that's okay. I'd rather be holding it rather than not holding it, but that's the way the cookie crumbles from time to time. So we've got 2 alternative counts really. It could be a corrective ABC, it could be a 1, 2, and now a 3 move. We'll only really know when we see how this thing develops. I'm sure there'll be lots of theories about what's happening, but maybe some reality might come into that. I'm not quite sure. But certainly we're going up at the moment. Certainly I believe we're going up medium term and long term. I expect the market to break 20,000 this year, and I wouldn't be surprised to get 30 or 40,000 by year end. And I think 100,000 is attainable next year. That's looking fairly long way in the future. As such, if you've got a trade of say £12 a point, and it gets to 100,000, then that's £1 million of profit, which I think is maybe slightly fanciful. Be quite hard to hold on for that period, I suspect. But I mean, £12 a point is not a huge size, especially if you add it in tranches. Maybe something to think about, because it's I think it's possible, and you don't need to risk huge amounts if you leg in from time to time. As an example, if you're using a 100-point stop, which I was doing yesterday quite successfully, it doesn't always work on a market that's volatile, of course, but £100 a point, so here's £5 a point, that's £500 of risk, £10 a point, £1,000 of risk. To possibly make $1 million, it's quite a good risk reward, although I doubt it'll be all plain sailing, to say the least. Anyway, Bitcoin is now looking better than it was when it was down here. But this rally is a little bit of an unknown at the moment, so I have to wait and see how that develops. On Ethereum, I've revised the count here. We have the 1, the 2. I'm counting this as a 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There is overlap though between the 1 and the 4, which is not ideal. But the 4 is quite a nice irregular, rather like Bitcoin actually, and the 5th is a 5. So it does match Bitcoin. Plus we've got this quite a neat ABC down to the 50% retracement level 185. So again, in terms of time, it's subnormal. In terms of price, it's fine. So I think that was a case of a low there as well. It's not as exciting as Bitcoin, but it's okay. I mentioned before that gold's been leading Bitcoin, so the low in gold was here, whereas the Bitcoin low was in December. So we've got 5 O's up to there. Discuss that. A nice falling diagonal 2 wave with the right time span. Now we've got 1 of 3 that's come in, and so we'll now look at 2 or 3 in a bit more detail. Right, 2 or 3 could be over. Here was the 1 of 3. So we've got ABCA, straight up B wave, C wave. D failed to make the trend line, and E has become a sort of rather complicated triangular thing with a breakout, which could be E. And now there's fairly good thrust up. That needs to break above these levels here to confirm itself, but it's looking pretty good at the moment, and we are due a 3rd wave here. So that could be quite strong. So we could actually see some real motoring, probably above 1500, I would think. So a good time to buy some options perhaps for this move, if you want to do that kind of thing, or spread bet or buy gold stocks. So, I mean, there are various different ways of buying gold. But looking good for now, and if it is leading the way for Bitcoin, then Bitcoin is yet to see this move here, although it may have started yesterday, and obviously hasn't seen a wave 2 rally either at this point. Looking at the Dow, we could have seen 5 goes up to new highs, which is potentially a dangerous place to be, as it were. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Although the fall looks a little bit corrective. I guess we could call this a 1, 2, 3, 4 with a possible 5, and not a very neat count at all. But so let's see what happens if that goes to new lows and see a corrective rally. That would change the scene quite a lot. Right, that's all for today. I found that interesting, useful. Sorry about the late report again, unavoidable unfortunately, but in the event, the way things have turned out, it's much more useful now than it would have been before these violent gyrations in Bitcoin. Anyway, have a great evening, and thanks for listening, and bye for now.